Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Deputy Special Coordinator Alak Baraf, Deputy Emergency Relief Coordinator Masuya, and Ms. Ashing for your briefings. And thank you, Ilana Grudzuski, for your testimony today and your courage. It reminds us how this war began and why it persists. It is also a reminder that this Council and the United Nations as a whole have failed in their mission. They would do well to listen to voices like yours and learn from what you have been going through. Colleagues, the path to a better future in the Middle East is clear. It starts with freeing Matan and all 50 hostages who remain in captivity nearly 2 years after October 7th, 2023. It means ensuring that Hamas, a barbaric terrorist organization, never controls Gaza again, nor poses a security threat to Israel. The United States continues to work tirelessly to accomplish all those objectives while supporting humanitarian assistance to innocent people in need. We cannot expect peace as long as Hamas is a ruling force in Gaza that is threatening or attacking Israel. It is no coincidence that talks with Hamas fell apart after several countries, including members of this Council, announced their intention to effectively reward Hamas for the massacre by recognizing a Palestinian state, all while hostages are still being held in subhuman conditions. Hamas officials have even said that unilateral recognition is one of the fruits of October 7th. The United States continues to focus on the real and important tasks at hand, not conferences, but serious diplomatic efforts in providing humanitarian assistance in a war zone where a terrorist organization uses aid as the basis for its terrorist machine. Mr. President, we all recognize that hunger is a real issue in Gaza and that there are significant humanitarian needs which must be met. Addressing those needs is a priority for the United States. However, we can only solve problems with credibility and integrity. Unfortunately, the recent report from the IPC doesn't pass the test on either. One of the report's key authors has a lengthy record of bias against Israel, including openly justifying the Houthis' terrorist attacks on Israeli civilian targets. By his own measure, he ought to have recused himself. This helps explain why the normal standards were changed for this declaration, raising significant questions. We can spend no shortage of time pontificating and lecturing, but we are here to solve real problems affecting real people, and the only way to do that is with credibility and integrity. Colleagues, President Trump wants to alleviate the suffering the people in Gaza are experiencing at the hands of Hamas and has prioritized getting aid to people in need while implementing safeguards to prevent Hamas from looting. As of August 26th, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has delivered more than 140 million meals directly to civilians in Gaza, 1.5 million meals just today. UN data on the UN's own deliveries tells a different story. Between May 19th and August 25th of this year, over 85% of trucks and 62,000 pallets of aid were intercepted in transit in Gaza. The hard truth is that the international community has poured hundreds of billions of dollars into Gaza over the years, while turning a blind eye to the fact that it was subsidizing and facilitating Hamas's creation of a terrorist stronghold. Colleagues, we will also take this occasion to reject the falsehood that there is a policy of starvation in Gaza. Since the beginning of the war in Gaza, Israel has enabled an unprecedented amount of more than 2 million tons of aid to flow into the Gaza Strip. We are working closely with the government of Israel to increase the flow of aid without benefiting Hamas and are seeing tangible results. Instead of echoing false narratives which only embolden Hamas, prolong the war, and hurt civilians in Gaza, we urge the UN and the rest of this Council to join us in working constructively to deliver aid to civilians that doesn't benefit Hamas. Rather than accept mass diversion of aid as a fait accompli, the United Nations, Council members, and IPC partners should support other mechanisms, including the GHF. We have also seen the Jordan corridor and the facilitation of commercial deliveries of food and other supplies into Gaza, and airdrops by Jordan, the UAE, and other international partners. The United States stands prepared to contribute toward real efforts that will supply life-saving aid to people on the ground in Gaza. Mr. President, we share the same dedication to the hostages underground, starved in tunnels, suffering through Hamas's captivity. Hamas must immediately free all remaining 50 hostages, living and deceased. The reality is that this war could end today if Hamas freed all the hostages and surrendered. We urge the UN Security Council and all members to play a constructive role, call for the immediate release of remaining hostages, hold Hamas to account, and demand it disarm and leave Gaza. Mr. President, we understand that Israel has expressed deep regret for harm to civilians and has already released findings from its investigation into the strikes on Nasser Hospital. The IDF concluded 6 Hamas members, one of whom had participated in the October 7th attacks, were killed when the IDF struck the site Hamas was using to monitor troops at the hospital. We note the prompt nature of this investigation and response and call on this Council to condemn the continued use of civilian infrastructure by Hamas. We also acknowledge a stable West Bank keeps Israel secure and is in line with this administration's goal to achieve peace in the region. Finally, Mr. President, the United States welcomes the government of Lebanon's decision to task the Lebanese armed forces with a plan to bring all weapons under state control by the end of the year. This historic step shows the Trump administration continues to work toward peace and stability with our partners in the region. The Lebanese armed forces now must act to fully implement the government's decision. The United States will do its part to help forge a new reality in the Middle East alongside Israel and our partners. The Middle East can still be a region of opportunity, innovation, prosperity, and peace. We cannot miss this historic opportunity. Thank you.